What's up, movie lovers? Thanks for clicking on my channel. Spirited Away is an animated film released in 2001 by Studio Ghibli and directed by Hayao Miyazaki, although you probably already knew that. Because Spirited Away is one of the most popular films to ever come out of Japan, it's a lot of people's first introduction to anime, and if I'm not mistaken, it was the first foreign language film to win an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. But for those of you who have never seen it or need a refresher, Spirited Away tells a story of a 10-year-old girl named Chihiro who is traveling with her parents. They stumble upon an abandoned amusement park. Next thing you know, her parents turn to pigs and she is sucked into a spirit world, and she somehow has to find a way out and restore her parents back to their human form. It's an everyday occurrence for most people. I'm sure that's happened to all of us at least once. And at its heart, like a lot of Studio Ghibli films, Spirited Away is a coming-of-age story. Now, I've only seen this movie twice in my life, once as a kid when it came out, and again for the second time about 3 days ago when I was watching it with my family. So I feel like I can talk about it in a pretty objective manner without having my thoughts clouded by nostalgia. So is Spirited Away worth all the hype? Yeah. It's a pretty excellent movie. I actually think it's a movie that works better when you're an adult watching it rather than when you're a child. As a kid, I remember watching it and being scared by the parents turning into pigs, being scared by No-Face, being scared by the giant baby, and watching it again as an adult with my nephew there, who's only 3 years old, he was kind of creeped out by those things too. As an adult though, I was just blown away by the animation, rooting for Chihiro the entire time, and also really loved the film's criticisms of materialism and greed, and showing how those negative qualities of people's personalities can not just damage them psychologically and physically, but also spiritually. Is that an ancient guardian spirit of a river or a toxic ball of sludge? Why not both? Just throw all your useless crap that you don't need into a river. It's not going to hurt anyone or anything. Who cares? Natural beauty? Who needs it? We really need more bicycles and toys and just garbage to fill our lives with. Additionally, the film is set kind of in an abandoned amusement park, which speaks to the economic turmoil Japan found itself in the 1990s after decades of prosperity. Thanks for that bit of perspective history degree. And while the film is always able to talk about these subjects and these themes, it never feels like it's on a soapbox about it. The focus is always on the characters and the story being told. And the movie doesn't just have a very likable protagonist, but a ton of side characters who you'll remember for the rest of your life probably. I mean, they stick with you, even if you only saw this movie once as a kid. You remember them. No-Face is certainly a character who will stick with you pretty much from the first time you see him to the last. He's both cute and likable, and then also really creepy and kind of the stuff of nightmares, at least if you're 6 years old. As an adult, I think Lynn was probably my favorite side character. She's just like completely burned out, done with working at this place, but at the same time she's still a pretty nice person. And an aspect of this movie that I really like, but could also be seen as a negative depending on your perspective, is that it expects a lot from its audience. The movie is very subtle in a lot of ways, and it's never insulting your intelligence, which I like because I cannot stand going into a movie and watching it and just feeling like it thinks I'm a complete idiot, which there's a lot of big budget movies that have come out the last 10, 15 years that do just that. But one of the potential drawbacks of that is that as an audience member, you might sometimes feel a little bit lost or confused as to what's going on, because just like the main character, you're sort of just thrown into this absolutely crazy abstract world, and you don't really get all the answers until the final act of the movie, and there still are some answers that are not completely resolved. I love that. I think it's great writing, but could it leave some people feeling a little confused, especially kids? Yeah, absolutely. For me personally, I'm completely fine with that, because I don't think you should dumb down your art just because it's made for kids. That's ridiculous. But it does speak to what I said about this movie being something that probably works better for you as an adult, or if you watched it as a kid, it probably just gets better and better as you age. Another thing I really loved about this movie is its use of humor. For one thing, the antagonist of this film is just a really greedy, insensitive, obnoxious boss. I'm sure we've all been there. She has one of the funniest lines in the movie though. When a very rich guest is destroying the bathhouse she runs, and she has just finally had enough of it, and she goes, I don't care if he's rich. This is getting ridiculous. And once again, maybe that's a lesson a lot of adults should be reminded of. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you have anything to say worth hearing. And the more personal, spiritualistic themes of the movie are also really beautiful as well. The idea that no matter how much someone might change over time, once you know someone, you'll know them forever, and part of growing up is being able to accept the fact that people will drift apart, people will change, things are never going to stay exactly the same, but that's okay, is something that's really mature and something that pretty much anyone of any age can hear and be like, yeah, that's a timeless lesson. That's something that's good to be reminded of. So Spirited Away is a funny, entertaining, beautiful, and timeless movie that, if you're asking me, is easily an A-tier film. It's not quite up there for S-tier with me, but that's only because I didn't grow up with it. I haven't watched it a million times, and I just don't have that extra emotional connection to it that I'm sure a lot of people do. I'd be a fool not to recognize how amazing it is, though, so yeah. A-tier. So those are my thoughts on Spirited Away, but enough about what I think. What are your thoughts on this movie, and what's your favorite film by Studio Ghibli? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. For me, it's probably between Kiki's Delivery Service or Grave of the Fireflies, although I also did really love The Wind Rises. It's Studio Ghibli. They got a lot of great movies. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. I know it's a cliche to ask, but it really does help the channel grow, so thank you in advance for that. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you at the next video.